I sat there at a Dolce Gabbana party with Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, you're sitting there going, what am I doing here? And then I remember there's like a song coming on, and it was like Diana Ross. I was like, I love this song, I might go for a dance. And everyone's rushing out. It was fucking Diana Ross. She was actually there singing the song. They'd brought Diana Ross in to sing the song. To that extent, Dolce, no one will touch Dolce. They created this show. You know, it was just phenomenal.
Did you grow up always being shy or an introvert? What would you say?
Yes, yes, and yes. Shy at nursery, remember holding on to my mum, not wanting to go. School never really fitted in, hating school. University, same. I've learned from working with a lot of people that you just treat everyone the same.
Yeah, man.
Or I've always been kind of brought up that way.
Do you have a busy mind?
Yes. It's not something I can switch off. I don't sleep much.
5 hours sleep.
It's about 5 hours sleep. Yeah.
Every night?
Yeah.
What happened to that Victoria's Secret after party?
That's always a good story.
Guys, before we start the show, I just want to talk a little bit about our guest today, David Gandy, one of the biggest icons in the modeling world. David started his modeling career by accident. His friend put him up as a guest in a modeling competition show, and he won it. And therefore, he got a contract to go into this amazing world of modeling. And since then, he's gone from strength to strength to strength, working with the biggest brands in the world, doing the biggest campaigns. Today, we talk about what the modeling world was like, why following logic is not a good thing. We talk about business, anxiety, family, so many different things. It's going to be a great episode. But before you also start the show, so many of you who are watching this right now haven't subscribed to our channel, Great Company. So can you please just now click on that button, subscribe? It does us absolute wonders. It takes you 1 second. If you like our show, that is. If you don't like our show, don't worry about it. But if you do like it, click subscribe. It means we can keep getting amazing guests and keep making great content for you guys. Also, let us know in the comments who you want on next, what guest you want on, and what you like and don't like about the show. All right, here we go. Enjoy this episode of Great Company with David Gandy. I had sort of the worst day of my life and best ever life, or almost in sync. I have Google alerts on.
Right.
Okay. Which basically means that you get an alert if you're on Google, right? You probably don't have it, but I do. And I got an alert, GQ best dressed. I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew this day was coming. It's like, here we go. And I click on it. And I'm just trying to be like nonchalant, I'm just being casual. Click on it. Top 10, number one. It's like, you were probably up there. It's probably Gandy, Beckham, Styles. It was going through and I was like, I'm not in I can't see my name anywhere. Flicked across. Top 10 worst dressed. I was number 3. I couldn't believe it. My emotions going from here to here was just wild. You're at university and your friend signed you up to a modeling competition on ITV with Richard and Judy.
Yeah. Yeah, the original this morning. Yeah.
Tell me everything. Come on, tell me everything. Because by the way, I've got all the time in the world, so I'm locking the doors and keeping you in, just to let you know.
I didn't know this happened, and I got a call from a guy called Devon, who was a booker at Select, and now I have to do the impression of him, because imagine if you were on the phone, you're a guy from Essex, you went to university. It was like, "Hi, babe, how are you? Oh no, you got to come in for like the last 15 of the modelling competition." And I was like, "Okay, in that case, and lovely to see you." But like, literally put the phone down, sat there that evening, and said, "You won't believe what happened today. The guy called from Select Model Agency and said about competition." And Abby went, "No, I put you in for this. I put you in for this," and showed me what she put in. And then I said, "Oh, I better call them back." So I called them back, and I had to go on into London. They chose the last 10 of us, and I said to Abby, "They want you on TV." And she went, "I'm not going on TV." I went, "You put me up for this. You're coming on television." She went, "No, not coming on." I didn't know what else to do. So it was in London. So my mum and dad, they were living in Essex at the time. And I just thought, I've got to take mum, but mum won't come on. Like, she'll be too nervous. So I sort of went home and went, "Oh, by the way, I'm on TV like in a couple of days' time. The film crew are coming and they need to interview you." And my mum went, no, like, "David, no." And I was like, "You haven't really got a choice, Mum. I'm so sorry to have to put you into this." Mum had no idea about the competition, no idea. And she was like, "Fine, okay, like we'll do it." And bless her, she did. And she was there when I won on the day as well. And
what did you win?
Well,
apart from massive kudos.
Yeah, you didn't. When you want a contract with Select to go onto their books.
I need it because I think you're a shy person, right?
Still am.
So that, for me, someone puts you up for something, you're shy, but you still go and do it.
Didn't have anything to lose. Hated university. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. It was an adventure. And I thought, yeah, why not? Let's curious person. Let's see what this is all about.
Yeah, but what I really like about that is there are so many people probably here who, and people who are listening, right, who don't step out of that comfort zone. That for you, I imagine, was a massive step outside of the comfort zone. But you did it because you were like, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to go and do it. Why not?
I think that's the thing. If something scares me, I have to step forward and I have to confront it. And that's people talk about imposter syndrome as a bad thing. And I always say to people, it's not a terrible thing at all. And if you speak to most successful people, they've all had imposter syndrome. And it's this idea that I've always thought, if I walk into a room and I haven't got that imposter syndrome, if I'm not nervous, if I don't think I should be there, I'm not pushing myself, because I've gone comfortably numb in just a situation. And I sort of sit around and gone, we've done this, haven't we? We've succeeded here. So what's the next one? And that's why I probably am always pushing. And I walk into same thing. Well,
that's your drive.
That's probably my drive. Yeah. Yeah.
Feeling uncomfortable. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling safe. And if you're feeling safe, you're not driving forwards.
Sounds kind of strange, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it sounds good as well at the same time, because did you ever consider saying no when you were called?
Can't remember. No, I don't think I probably ever did. I can't remember. It's a while ago. But there's things I have said no to that I was nervous about that didn't do. And that's the only things I regret.
Like what?
There were a couple of probably films, and I never wanted to be an actor. This is the other thing. But there were a couple of films that I looked at and I just thought, I'm not an actor. I can't learn lines.
What? Tell me, like what? You're going to say Fight Club or something like that?
No. There's been a few. There's been quite.
Can you give me one?
Few.
Just give me one. Just tease it out. Come on, give me one.
Well, this is the famous one that everyone says that I said no to, but I never actually said no to it. I was sent the script because the author met me and said, "Can I send you the script?" And it was to 50 Shades of Grey. And I read it and went, "What? No." But I actually, yeah. That's why I've only said. That's why I said the only one I would do.
David, your agents are eating their fist when you said no. They were like, "Sorry, this is going to be wow." But growing up for me, right? It felt like the modeling industry was the only place that women were being paid more than men.
And so they should.
100%. And it felt like this was where these amazing supermodels, Naomi Campbell, Kate Moss, these incredible women were sort of dominating this industry. Did that ever shift, or was it always that it felt like it was dominated by these incredible women? Well,
no, it was dominated. And I said before, I worked with Chrissy Turlington, and I asked her, and I literally said, how do you... And there was no man where I wanted to be. There wasn't a man on that level that I could ask and say, how do you get there? It was about branding. That's all it was. And when we spoke to Chris Turlington and I read about Cindy Crawford, that was the platform I followed. And it was a business. That was it. You needed to your name needed to be a name. When we say...
You needed to become a name. That's so interesting.
Well, because when you say Chrissy, Naomi, Cindy, you don't need to ask who they are. I'm not saying you say David, but it was like the name needs to be, David Gandy. He's the guy from this. He's the guy. And Light Blue gave me that platform, but I didn't want to, I couldn't be the guy in the white pants for too long. I needed to, then leverage that. Up. And that's when we did. And everyone told me not possible. And then I would say, I want an exclusive contract. I don't want to work for many brands. I want to work exclusively for certain brands. And there were men doing exclusive contracts. And that's when we did that.
There's a couple of things here which I think is so good. Firstly, I'm always a big believer in never following logic. I say this a lot. Never follow logic because it gets you back in the same place as everybody else. you never follow logic. There's a great story of when I heard used to get a fax out with all the places that you would go to castings, and everyone went one way, top to bottom. You turned it around and went from bottom to top. So it was different.
Yeah.
Which is it's so good. And whether that was...
But you say that's not logical. To me, it seems logical.
Yeah,
it seems the logical thing to do.
Yeah, but maybe it was out of shyness or whatever. It's still a really good tactic.
But that's about people following. You know, they follow each other.
Yeah, but don't follow the crowd. It's why fit in when we're born to stand out? It's the most important thing. And I also really like the way that you knew your worth. And I feel like you did. You say, I'm going to be loyal, but I want to work for you, and I want it to be that. You kind of knew your worth, and I think a lot of the time we forget what our worth is.
Well, the worth was, I wasn't worth anything at the start.
Agreed.
And that was the difference when what you just said there was the women were paid so much more, and they were, the global superstars of the fashion world, and we both said rightly so, and. If someone said, well, yeah, but you should really be, there should be equality on a set. Like if you're both in the same campaign, rubbish, absolute rubbish. If I'm doing a campaign with Kate Moss and I'm nobody, of course, Kate Moss is going to be the one that everyone is looking at. Kate Moss is engaging with everyone. Kate Moss is bringing in the sales, and you have to level that up. There's no complaining about it. You level that up until your point where you are at the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games and you're standing next to Kate Moss, because you're part of that group.
Did that happen?
That happened.
There we go, baby.
Yeah. And then you go, right, I'm now leveled up, and now I know my worth, and we're, I'm never going to be on the same level as Kate Moss. But
David, but it's true, but there are all the women that you mentioned, which is amazing. There is very few men that I can name. I mean, if someone says to me, Gandy, I know who Gandy is. Not... There's two.
We go back to history.
That's true. But if someone says to me, David Gandy, I know exactly who David Gandy is. And I think a lot of people, whether they know you or not, they've heard the name. And I just find it fascinating that you built yourself up in an industry that was dominated by women to make yourself into a name.
But my whole team was women.
Yeah, amazing.
As well. That was the whole thing. And I've always kind of...
Isn't that amazing? That's so great.
Preferred working with women than guys. So, and Sandy Anson and Heidi, still the owner of Select, still my booker today. I work predominantly with women all the time.
Talking about being shy, right? Did you grow up always being, would you say shy or an introvert? What would you say?
Yeah. Yes, and yes. Shy at nursery. Remember holding on to my mum, not wanting to go. School never really fitted in. Hating school. University, same. Wasn't really until I sort of got out and working on my own in the fashion industry. You're basically on your own, and you're traveling and you're going around the fashion capitals trying to make something happen. And you're doing it all yourself. It's you yourself, right? And that's all I needed. That's all I was relying on. Because
you only trusted yourself?
No, I trusted certain people. I trusted. I don't sort of trust that many people. That's learned the hard way.
But you mentioned that you had to learn the hard way. What do you mean by that?
What with people? Never trust people, especially with money. Really? Money does funny things to people, and yeah, never trust people with money. Unfortunately, I know that sounds absolutely horrid. It really, really does.
Yeah, but it's good advice.
But not anyone. Be very, very careful.
Really,
with everything. Businesses, even if it's contracted, percentages, everything else. Money does funny things to the best people sometimes, if they care. That's what they think they care about. So yeah, you learn, and you learn about loyalty as well. There was a great thing recently I read about, especially men who men generally have this group, and I know about you all the same. And it's a bit like sort of WhatsApp. Like I have WhatsApp groups of my friends from back home since I've been 5 or 6 friends in sort of like the fashion industry and other groups. And we generally just rip the absolute shreds out of each other. Mm-hmm. And if my other half ever sees and she's like, I can't believe you guys talk to her. I said, but that's loyalty. Like that's, it's a weird thing that, if we're all in a group and there's someone, we can rip the shreds out of each other. If there's a new person there that starts as well, whoa, hang on, hold the phone a second. You haven't been around long enough to be able to say that. But the rest of us will keep on doing it. And there's this really interesting thing about how supportive those people are, that how loyal, those friends are within that group when you can confidently rip the shit out of each other and you're still mates, because it's quite rare these days.
And if you were to send a message to that group saying, I don't feel good, or I'm having a hard time, what would the response be?
I know I'd get a call from Larry King within about 30 seconds, and probably a few others as well, but we never do. You have to, this is a thing I do a lot with, I try and do a lot with men's mental health. You will never say it. I think you have to.
What do you mean you'll never say it?
I don't think anyone would say, I'm not feeling good. Maybe some people would do, but I think generally men will not say. I think you have to find the clues because what I think the people who do suffer from mental health issues and depression, they spend their whole life trying to hide it, not trying to actually, that's what your aim is, to try and hide it from people. So I always think you're if I ever say to a friend or say to someone, how you doing? He goes, yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm okay. And I'm always sort of like, no, you're not, because okay is not. It's, that's the alert word kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you don't have to say anything. It's, I don't think you have to delve too deep, but it's always, when you have someone go, yeah, I'm great actually, like that's, yeah, things are good at the moment. You're like, okay, that's kind of like the truth, but I don't think men really open up to go,
what you mean?
Open up to go, yeah, mate, I'm not doing that well at the moment. I think it's, yeah, I'm doing okay, and okay is not good.
Why are those words so hard to say sometimes when you're not, and because we're two guys that speak from a men's point of view, why is that so hard? Why is it so hard to literally say, I'm not feeling good? Because I've definitely been there, right? And it took me, and I spoke about it a lot recently, but there was a moment where after 7 years, I finally said to a mate, I'm not feeling good. It took me 7 years to say something.
I still think men won't admit it to this day. And there's this whole thing about men need to talk, and it's not even that sometimes. And we're in a world as well where we're not face to face like me and you are now, or we're not going to the, things like going to the pub or going to the office. These are all things that when working from home came in, I dreaded it from working with men's mental health. And just, we'd be on Zoom meetings and there would be two people sitting in the corner upstairs in their office or their house, and didn't say anything during the call. And then the call goes off and I go, well, where do those two people go? They didn't say anything. Are they in an office? You adversely see how first thing you come into the office, everyone starts talking. Yeah. Let's get a coffee. How are you doing?
It's community as well.
It's community. You're talking, and that is being lost.
But then David, if I was going to ask you, because we're being open, if I was going to say, how are you? Are you okay? How are you feeling? What would you say?
I would say I'm good at the moment. Yeah, I am good. Not always, it hasn't always been the way, but I am at the moment. That's yeah. I'm in a good place at the moment, and I'm fortunate to be there.
It's because again, I don't want to make you feel embarrassed, right? But you sort of depict that if someone was going to draw a man, they would draw something close similar to you, right? That's what they would draw on the walls or somewhere. They would draw that. So, and that also depicts, masculinity and alpha and strength, and that's what it's meant to depict. But actually, what you're saying is you haven't always felt that way. You've.
Well, we're about to. This is you can't get into the depth of this at the moment, but what is changing at the moment is that masculinity, sadly, has been turned into this now toxic masculinity, and it's the new byword, the new word that everyone says, and unfortunately, there's a small minority of horrible men, and we know them, don't know them, but we know of them that are spoiling it for the rest of us. And there's a big problem at the moment, which we're going to talk about, and I'm going into the House of Parliament to talk about it, which is called the Lost Boys. Men don't quite, young boys between the ages, I think 15, 25, are a little bit lost at the moment.
Yes. But why? Why do you think so?
For the reasons we were just talking, I think a second ago, to everything. no one is communicating.
No.
Everyone's communicating on their phones, or I don't think the opportunities are there.
And people think
anymore.
And people think success. I say this. People think success is being able to bench 150 kilos, doing an ice bath, and having money in your crypto wallet. And then that's what they feel like success has got to be. And actually, success is not that. Success is, I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think success is truly about having a purpose, about being close to family and friends, about being loving, caring, and loyal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what true success is. And we've somehow shifted this idea of what success is to being this sort of toxic idea. And when you're not achieving that, you're then lost. So as young men, if you're not getting there, then it's a problem.
But I do think young guys have turned to that because no one else is listening. This is my other problem.
Okay. Tell me, I want to hear this.
It's my, not a theory, but it's what I've said, that so remember there was a big thing about men's mental health. It was probably 3-4 years ago, maybe a bit longer. And it was the thing that men need to talk. That was something I didn't really agree with as well. And I said, that's great. Who's going to listen? Who's listening? Because no one's listening anymore. It's a polarized. If you hear something that you don't like, an argument, there's a polarized opinion instantly. There's no conversation anymore. There's no, it is, you don't like what I've said, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. You either like what I say, or we can't have a discussion. And I think that's a sort of, I think we are so polarized in everything now. These conversations you can't have a discussion, because it turns, I think we're seeing this around the world, everywhere.
Yeah.
And people like Trump, and people now have grown up in this era of celebrities and people bickering on Twitter and bickering on Instagram and having a go at each other. And what do you think this is going to do to children? They're almost not reenacting it, but they've grown up to think this is okay.
Mm.
We have to be so careful about what we say, unless it's taken the wrong way, because people turn things very easily to sensationalize everything, because that's what sells news.
So it's funny. We made a joke I do a podcast with my wife, and I made a joke about the fact that it definitely was a joke. But now looking at it, doesn't feel like a joke. I made a joke that because she's pregnant, right, and her hormones are slightly all over the place. I said, that I was going to leave her because of her hormones. It's not a funny joke. It hasn't turned out that funny, but it was sort of funny at the time. We said it on the podcast as a joke together. Mm-hmm. But then the headlines come out today saying, seen for the first time since Jamie threatened to leave over hormones, which is not a great looking title.
That's not the one you want on your Google alerts, is it?
The one, I'd rather the GQ one back, to be honest. Talking about that men's mental health and modeling, right? Modeling, I find a fascinating industry because it is pretty much on the way that you look.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
And that must come with deep insecurities, because when I started doing the TV stuff, the only thing I cared about at the beginning was what I looked like. Mm-hmm. I didn't care what I was saying, didn't care if it was funny or interesting or informative. I didn't care. I just cared what I looked like. And every single time, every single week another episode came out, I just looked, do I look okay? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what do I look like there? And with modeling, I can't even imagine the sort of body dysmorphia that hits.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. You read that. It's
how honest can you be?
I can be how honest how I felt. Mm-hmm. I can't ever talk about other people, and it's something I get asked about a lot. Is about about this image that we are portraying, that is this unachievable image to other people, and it's making them this kind of element to it. Which I've always sort of said, and they say, well, of course, David, you have the body you have, and it's unachievable. And I always say, hey, hang on a second. When I was 15, 16, and I had quite a bit of puppy fat, and I was a little bit overweight, I didn't have the body I have now. This body is how I wanted to. It's the body because of the sport I played, and because I played it, I wanted to work out. I don't train for the modeling industry. I train because it's been part of my life since I was 18, 19. And it's my sort of 40 minutes a day of this freedom of being in the gym. And it's how I feel better. So it's got nothing to do with anyone else. It's how I feel the best. And I fit that into my day because it makes me feel better. And that's basically it. So it's everything, is achievable in that sense. I can understand the other argument behind it, but that is what I sort of say to people and say to any man, that it is achievable.
But because you, like you said, you were a shy kid. I've heard you mention before that you experienced some bullying growing up. That would, for anyone who's experienced that, it makes you feel insecure. And then going into an industry like modeling, I like any sort of place where you're put in the public sphere, did it make you more insecure or did it make you more secure?
I'm not sure if I've ever been insecure.
Have you not?
No, I never have.
Really?
And I think if you saw me drop the kids off in the morning at school when I do the kids run, and if you saw what I looked like at that time in the morning, you'll realize I'm quite secure in my.
Trust me, it's better than me. It's going to look better than me.
and
I can't go anyway. My breath is honestly like.
But I generally, I don't. I generally don't care what people.
You've never been insecure?
I don't think I have.
Get out of here. No,
honestly, it's just there's insecurities. There's I don't look in the mirror and go, well, you're perfect. I mean, I've always just gone, look at look at the nose, look at the. I've probably never seen what other people maybe have seen. Because of the self-critical side, but there's a difference between that insecurity. I'm confident in myself that I'm not I'm just not worried about being part of a tribe or a group that I have to fit in because I haven't got the right trainers, watch, car, mobile phone. So
you don't care what people think?
I'd rather be the opposite.
You don't care what people think?
Not particularly, no.
Wow.
I care what they think about my personality.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want someone, it would devastate me to say he's an unkind person.
Yeah.
But I don't care if someone goes, what are you wearing? I'd be like, what I fucking
It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
No, I prefer it.
Are you insecure? Would you say you have insecurities within your own personality?
I always want to work on my personality. I think I'm always worried about, I always have a guilt factor about how I've treated people. I always think about it in the office. I always think about, have I, sometimes, business is tough and you have to make decisions, and I am sometimes don't explain myself as thoroughly as I should.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And tempers can get high. That's business, and you have to make decisions. Sometimes they're not nice decisions, but I never want people to. I will always go back to say someone that evening and not be, sort of too up my own arse, not to go. Let me explain why this happened. I am sorry for maybe, we went a bit far and we said things, or I was wrong. Never be scared to say you're wrong, ever. That's what people are scared. The people are scared these days to get things wrong.
With WellWear, your business that you're building, you're juggling your personal brand, which is David Gandy, which is I would say a sort of worldwide known brand. And then you're building WellWear, which is a separate brand, but you are the founder of it. How do you juggle both?
Try and leverage it. Jamie, leverage the both.
Explain that to me.
So the fact is with WellWear is it's certainly the hardest thing I've ever done. I knew it was going to be the hardest thing.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's so bloody hard, man.
So hard. It's so hard. And just a quick one. Doesn't get easier.
No, I can't see it. And I knew it was going to be this hard. It's why I didn't do it. Because I had the David Gandy autograph with M&S, and we did over 80 million in sales in 5 years. 80 million, yeah. So and then we came out of M&S, and I've never ever planned it. I knew how hard it was going to be, but there was something it was the last sort of tick in the box I had to do. And I just had guys coming up to me and saying, in the supermarket on the street, and just going, David, we can't get your t-shirts. Where can we get your t-shirts? As if I was selling them out of my boot or something of the car. I was like, guys, we just don't make them anymore. I'm so sorry, but I said, we need your lounge. One of my best friends started a creative agency and a branding agency, and he said, look, I think we could do this again. And that's where WellWear started. But of course, you haven't got the M&S funds, the M&S money, the M&S marketing, advertising. You're starting off with not very much money and a small team, and that was 3 years ago. But it's difficult. It's difficult. But sort of leveraging the brand is, yes, I'm two separate entities. But in the end, you have to look at where, and there's always a plan. There's always a 5-year plan. In the end, WellWear needs to be a separate entity, but I need to have built it up, and I can help, like I've done with other brands, to be the ambassador, to be the face, to be the driving force, and I am going to use that advantage, hopefully.
100%, and that's what I've had to learn with my businesses, is that's where I'm most useful.
Mm-hmm.
And focusing on that is really important.
Yeah, it opens doors
100%
to a lot of people if you know where you're going. But it's tough.
But with WellWear, it's about integrating style with well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So how does style and well-being work together?
Well, the well-being element to it is I've always had this idea that you should have confidence from your clothing. Clothing should give you confidence. When I was talking about me going out in trend-driven stuff and walking out, and just never me walking out and instantly I've lost that confidence in me. I'm not me anymore. I'm something else. Why I always love tailoring. Tailoring to me, to a point, was like a suit of armor. I put it on. I knew I was ready to go. I knew I was ready to go into battle and, face the day. But that would go with, a great fitting t-shirt and a pair of jeans, and I still felt as good. And clothing, as much as looking good, should make you feel good. And it's about the tactical element of the tangible element of that clothing, what it's made from, how it feels. We all have that. We have our favorite of everything. We have probably our favorite pair of underwear, our favorite t-shirts, our favorite jumpers, and half the time you'll probably say they're probably the most comfortable. They are the things that look good, but the comfort level of those things. And there are studies that prove if you're comfortable. They did it with students in this study that when they were more comfortable in items they were allowed to be in confidence, they did better in exams. They were more open to people. Maybe they were talking colors. Weird thing is, like, if someone's wearing blue, people are more open with you, and it's very strange, and they have more confidence. It's that idea that we sort of came up with. So I just put a number. I said to guys, if we're doing this, it has to be style-led, super comfortable, as sustainable as possible, or responsible as possible. And what else can we put into this brand? And wellness is such a big thing at the moment. And the guys went off and they came back and they said, look, we can put treatments within the clothing. So we can put infrared basic treatment technology within a hoodie. So it absorbs, the fabrics absorb your heat from your body and then put it back into your body.
Wow.
Oxygenation and we've done the same with all our summer stuff is UV protectant. And then we have sort of WellWear Breathe and WellWear Care. So all our pajamas have aloe vera in them, which moisturizes your skin. And then we have in most of our t-shirts, I think in all our t-shirts actually, we have sort of antibacterial, anti-odor technology in it. Many reasons for that. You don't have to wash your clothes as much. So you're, I had a meeting today with talking about microplastics, which is one of the scariest conversations.
Don't even get me near that. It's just terrible. It's in everything.
It's well, you not to take this in a very weird way, but it's just found it in men's testicles.
Because of the water that we're drinking.
Everything, breathing, everything else. And they're actually thinking the declining birth rates and people not being able to conceive is to do with this. So we even to this idea of when we came to build our swimwear, and I said, guys, we're making swimwear you have to make them out of a polymer resin. What's the, that's great, but it's, polymer resins, if it goes on landfill, it's here for 50 to 100 years. So they went to Italy and found a fabric that's biodegradably enhanced, which if it ends up on landfill, which unfortunately a lot of clothing does, that it breaks down in 3 years instead of 50 years. So we're just trying to prove to other people what could be done to like sort of break these cycles within the fashion game as well.
I love it. You very kindly, I don't know if you know, but you sent me some of your clothes, and whenever I take a flight, I'm always in it at the airport. It looks great, and it's so comfortable, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're so right. And it's weird. You go back to tailoring or a suit or your clothes with WellWear. When you wear something that makes you feel good and you feel comfortable in it, it makes you mentally feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the jeopardy with something like starting a business?
The jeopardy. I think it's more jeopardy if you're scared of failing.
Are you scared of failing?
No. This would if I had never started a brand, that I would have gone in life going, I should have started a brand. What if? Now this has been so hard. You know how hard it is, and you can never really explain how sometimes hard it is. And I think you have this lovely idea that we'll be in the gorgeous office and we'll be coming up with creative ideas, and our budgets will be huge, and we'll have billboards. I mean,
no,
none of that. Not at all.
It's
like that looks great, looks fantastic. Let me try that. Great. I'm off to go and get some more money in finance, and I can't afford to pay everyone this week. Everyone.
That's it.
That's basically your and then it just takes on. I literally said to Charlie, he's my MD, and I went, the last time I had any good news.
Yeah.
Literally, because it's been.
I'm 14 years into Candy Goodness. I don't think I've had good news since making the logo mad. Back at the beginning. I don't think it is. It's so hard. But you keep building and you keep going and you never give up. But it comes with I think the jeopardy, right? Because you are David Gandy. If the business doesn't work, it falls on you.
Of course it falls on me. And I'm also responsible now for, like you are, Jim, people's livelihoods and people being paid and wages. And before it was just me, it was me. I in many ways didn't have anything to lose in the modeling game when I took chances. And how we sort of transitioned from a very sort of commercial catalog model. I had to give up everything. And to then go after what I wanted to achieve. But I didn't have anything to lose. People say it was a gutsy move, and I don't really think it was. It was just.
It is a gutsy. I want to.
I think it really was.
It is. I find that so. That story is so amazing that you were in the modeling. You were sort of the catalogs. You were doing those things, and you just said no. You stopped everything. You did nothing. You said no to all the jobs, and you just waited.
Well, we did a shoot with Tanya Jensen, the owner of Select. I did a shoot with Lawrence Thomas, her now husband. And now, everyone says of it, is that light blue image, which it was. That was in the stratosphere when it came out. That was mental. But it was 2 or 3 images that Lawrence took that totally changed everything.
What were the images?
The images were just very different to what I'd done before, and people, because I had come out. All the images I had were commercial images. I wasn't doing editorials. I didn't have any major campaign shoots. So it was cheesy catalog. So you couldn't really use any of them. So we just did a test, and we did this very, very different. And by that stage, within that 5 years, I had changed a lot. And you went from being a 21-year-old, not a man at all, to a man really, because you mid-20s you've sort of grown into yourself a bit. And it had changed, and that from those pictures were sent out, and then I started getting a bit of work, and it was. We then
you got booked.
No, we can drive to. Tanya Jensen said, "I'm going tonight I'm going to a dinner with Dolce Gabbana. It's their birthday. You have to be there. How can we get you there?" And she came up with this idea, and she said, "Right, it's Mariano Vivanco, who I literally spoke to this morning. He took my first ever headshots. He was at the party, and he said, so I'm going to tell Mariana that we have airline tickets that you've got to come and pick up because you're going away on a flight tomorrow. So coming, make sure you go and say hello to Mendico and Stefano, Dolce & Gabbana." And I went in and I went, "Hi guys, so sorry to interrupt your party. And I've got to pick up." And they said, "David, no, stay, please." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I stayed, and I missed my train home, and it was, back to, I think I was living Essex at the time, and because I had to, and that's where the week after I got put on option for the campaign, and then from the campaign, led to doing Light Blue.
Explain Light Blue quickly for anyone who doesn't know what Light Blue is.
Light Blue is the Dolce Gabbana Light Blue fragrance, which I'm not doing anymore. I did it for 18 years. So it was a fragrance that was a women's fragrance, and then the men's fragrance started in 2006, and I was cast as the very sort of Italian-looking guy to be the face of it.
You, the picture is iconic. It's you in very small,
It's very small,
very, very small white Speedos, looking incredibly tanned, ripped.
Yeah.
I reckon they used some sort of oil on your body.
There was oil, definitely oil on that body.
And you're lying on a boat.
Yeah, you know the funny story behind it, and I always tell this story. So that was in 2005, 2006. So we probably started I met them at that meeting I just told you about in probably 2005. And it was in 2001 I just started. I went to go and do my first show season in Milan, which is hell.
What's it like? I don't know what it's like.
It's awful. You literally you're either requested for these shows or it's a general casting. There are thousands of guys all going for the same job. Oh. They're trying to put a t-shirt on you that the last 300 sweaty guys have tried on, which is soaking wet. It's a farm. It's
an animal pit.
It's an animal. It's awful. I did it once and went never again. And but anyway, I got Dolce Gabbana, and I did the show. And then the second time, I didn't really go back, but I went back for Dolce because Dolce directly booked me, and I went for the casting. I got it. And but what Dolce do? They have the first show, and what they do with every guy is almost give you a haircut where it's so Dolce because they buzz. It's hard to explain. They buzz the side of your hair off. So that you're kind of Dolce for the rest of it. It's quite clever.
Oh, they do that. So they make you look Dolce so you can't go anywhere else.
Well, you do, but you're then Dolce. And that was the theory behind why they used to do it, whether it was true or not.
How
but
smart. They basically brand you like cattle.
They used to send you down to the barbershop, down below the fitting. So I went for the fitting. And at the time, I was an option for a big Armani campaign. And I had longer hair, slightly longer hair. And they said, no, we like David's long hair. Make sure he keeps it. So I went down. I went, oh no, you can't cut my hair because I'm. So they went, I'm going to speak to Domenico and Stefano. So I went upstairs again. I went, Domenico, Stefano. I went, I'm on option for something. I can't cut my hair. And if I think about it now, they're in the middle of trying to fit 400 guys, and they've got this major show, and I'm sort of tapping on the shoulder, going, "So sorry, David, I can't cut my hair." And they're like, "David,
David.
Either cut your hair or you don't do the show." And I didn't cut it, and I didn't do the show.
No.
And I left, and I didn't get the Giorgio Armani campaign as well. So that was that was a decision made then.
Is that stubbornness or opportunity that
just stupidity?
It's just stupidity.
No, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe listen, you take the chance, but at that point it was it was Armani. Take the chance?
What is I have a couple of friends that you made is Sam Webb. Amazing Sam Webb. Just the best. And Cheshire and those guys. And I've heard stories about how amazing it was. Was it a pretty wild time as well back then?
There was some great times. Many I can talk about. There was some great times. I wasn't as wild as those two. They were.
They were wild.
You had at all.
How wild did it get?
Well, I mean, before there was a group of guys: Robert Konjic, Bill Gentle. Now you probably won't know any of names. These were the superstars from Select, and they were doing everything. And they were like the Rat Pack of the modern industry. But again, you didn't, and I wasn't part of them. There was and it was. I saw what they achieved, but I wanted more than that because I thought actually I saw what they do. I said, why is there a glass ceiling that you're not breaking through to be this? You're still not a name. And when I know those names in the industry, everyone will know them. That's why I thought about it slightly differently. But Webby and Cheshire and everyone there, they were the younger sort of Rat Pack. And
was there a lot of drinking?
Yeah, still is. Yeah, there was a lot of drinking. Ask Webby about the Victoria's Secret after party once. That's always a good story.
I've never experienced like so mad in my life. When I went out with a friend of ours called Sam Webb and other people, and it was me and a group of models, and I was like, why is everyone just looking at us in this nightclub? I was like, what is going on? And then I suddenly realized it was mad. Because it feels like it was that sort of, maybe still now, but that sort of time just felt like there was an energy. And putting a lot of beautiful people into a space with alcohol and whatever, that feels like a wild party.
Yeah, I was never one of the party lot. I honestly probably never was. I had some incredible moments. I remember.
Did you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, this is mad that I'm here with this person and that person?
I sat there at a Dolce Gabbana party with Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Lopez. Who else? Just everyone. I mean, you're sitting there going, what am I doing here? This is just absolute madness. And then I remember that like a song coming on, and it was like Diana Ross. I was like, I love this song. Literally like going over to like Matthew McConaughey, I love this song. I might go for a dance. And everyone's rushing out. It was fucking Diana Ross. She was actually there singing the song. They brought Diana Ross in to sing the song.
Where did the love of tailoring come from?
Don't know. You would think in many ways that my love of tailoring design I include like architecture, cars, the whole thing, would come from family history and things like that. But it wasn't. My dad and grandfather came from very impoverished backgrounds. They didn't have much at all until Dad built his businesses up and went from there. But he didn't, sort of fashion or style was not something majorly in our house, and neither was cars, and neither was, but it was always just something ingrained into me. Like my mom would say, you used to choose what you wanted to wear when you were a kid, and tailoring came about. But my dad had. I've still got the suit. He had a suit made in East London, pinstriped wool suit. I've kept it because it was my first suit, and I knew I loved that, and I couldn't wait till the day I kind of could wear that. And my grandfather and my father were always people who would shine. They shine their shoes. I still shine my shoes. I have a shine kit, and there's this thing ingrained into me that you don't keep buying shoes. Your shoes will last forever, and you shine your shoes. And now my daughters, I sort of get my shine. They're like, we're going to shine shoes. It sounds really strange, but we're standing there kind of shining shoes together, and it's kind of like an art, and you look after pieces. And I've always been taught. And but my father, if you looked at my grandfather and my father, they obviously didn't have much, but what they had and what they didn't, like, they would always have a half Windsor tie. It wasn't really, it was always impeccably, sort of created. It looked good. Everything was fitting well, and even there was
pride in appearance.
There was pride, I suppose, in appearance, and in the traditions of tailoring. I suppose that kind of got instilled into me. And it's tailoring is when no one was wearing tailoring, and when I started, I sort of remember when I was brought in as ambassador for Men's Fashion Week, and I just went, I'm going full tailoring because no one's in it. No one's wearing tailoring. I feel like tailoring needs to come back.
But explain that to me, someone who doesn't understand that. What do you mean tailoring isn't in? Tailoring needs to come back. What does that mean?
Tailoring, because we were in a very sort of dressed down element of, so we're talking, I don't know, sort of 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided, and in my head, it was like, this is the British Fashion Awards. I'm ambassador for it. I'm on the British Fashion Council. I need to be in a suit, tie, tailoring, and I worked with Tom Sweeney and
love Tom Sweeney
and lots of different brands to just for this take, and that's where kind of then tailoring started to build. And then Tom Sweeney had their real moment. I mean, they still are, but of the horseshoe waistcoat that kind of everyone was in, and that was their moment, Tom Sweeney, that launched them. But I've worked with sort of so Henry Paul, Savile Row. When people talk about they'll talk about a tuxedo or a dinner suit. And Henry Paul invented the dinner suit. It needs to be in midnight blue. It should never be black. A black is a tuxedo. So if someone shows me like in a dinner suit, I'd be like, well, that's a tuxedo. And they'll say, no, it's a dinner. I said, no, that's a tuxedo. You need to be in midnight blue. The British dinner suit is in midnight blue, or the dinner jacket. And I had one of their original, not original, they made it for me. And so I got to this love of tailoring and seeing, and the love of Savile Row and this artistry that goes on in this incredible street in London. And I seem to then become unofficial ambassador for sort of Savile Row. But it's this
that is a flex
tradition of, UK and everywhere in the world. Every man, where do you want a suit made? Well, it's Savile Row. Anywhere in the world. And that's why I was, and then Savile Row has changed a lot, thank goodness now, because we've got a lot of new brands and a lot of new names in there, and tailors and female tailors and everything else. So it was exciting to sort of be part of that transition along and working with the brands.
So it's the traditional thing that you also love, because I think, and I don't know you, but it feels like you're a lover of history. I was listening to an interview that you did, and you said one of the only roles that you would love to play was Churchill's bodyguard. But it's so interesting that, right? And so you obviously, maybe consciously or subconsciously, you're a huge lover of British history. Because if the suit and Savile Row and shining your shoes, by the way, is one of the fundamental things I think that's why in the army, the reason why they shine their shoes is because if you do the small things right, the bigger things fall into place. It's a really good attitude to have in life. And you feel like you had this sort of, love of history and tradition.
Yeah, I mean, I do love history, and that's probably why I've always stuck to living in London. I've had my stints in America and New York, which I love as well, but I always loved coming back to London. I love walking around London. I've lived in London for 20 odd years, and still I can walk down the street I've never been to before, and there's a history behind it. I live near Richmond Park, and I was talking to one of the rangers, and there's this big gate in Richmond Park. If you walk up to the northwest side, that says the way. It's because of the way in the railings. And the ranger said to me, "Do you know what that is?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, you have to see St Paul's Cathedral from there. It was built to commemorate the 300 or 400 year."
Wow.
And I said, "From Richmond Park?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "No, you can't see St Paul's Cathedral." So of course that afternoon he went, "Well, I've got to go and walk up there." And so I walked up there with the dog, and it was. And I looked through, and if you look the hedges, there's 7 viewpoints, I believe, around London where you have to view St Paul's Cathedral. So from Richmond Park, nothing can be built from your view of there. I think it's 7 miles all the way to St Paul's. And those parts of history, I was like, I absolutely sort of adore things like that.
What era do you think you would like to be born in?
Probably the 50s.
Why?
They made some really good race cars in the 50s, Jim.
Like what? Give them to me.
I'm a Jaguar man, and we race in the I think called the Mille, which is a 1,000-mile historic race. You have to have a pre-1957 car, and you race 1,000 miles in 3 days, and it's like going back to the era, I suppose, and it's when I'm happiest, really.
Really?
At the end of the day, yeah, racing.
Why?
Around.
Give it to me. Explain. Why is that when you're the happiest?
I suppose it's the freedom of the driving. You're not concentrating on anything else. At that point, cars are very different nowadays. This is a car with disc brakes. It's from it could be 65 years of age, and you are racing this car on public road. Not racing. I should never call it a race. It's a rally.
Okay.
We're pelting it down in Italian roads. There's nothing else to think about at that moment, apart from you and that machine and driving and getting the most out of that machine. Nothing is taken out of your focus. There's no time. There's not your phone or you can't hear anything. There's no one talking to you. There was time. The first ever race I did with Yasmin Le Bon, and there was a time we were driving through Tuscany in a 57 XK120.
That's a good image.
And Yasmin Le Bon was hand feeding me Haribo into my mouth. And at that point I thought, it doesn't really get better than this, does it? How do you top this? If it ended now, you'd be quite a happy man.
This is all right.
Yeah.
David, this is everything and more that I wanted. Man, I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure. Been an absolute pleasure. And it's been amazing to just I think there's something so mysterious about the world that you lived and what you're doing now, and to sort of be open about it is just amazing.
Thank you.
We end our conversation with 8 quick fire questions.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go.
A saying or phrase that makes you smile or cheers you up.
Never argue with stupid people. They will They will bring you down to their level and beat you with experience.
That's unbelievable. Let's write that. That's unbelievable. Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
You're a good dad.
Last time you cried and why?
Every time Rachel Reeves opened her mouth.
What scares you most about yourself?
My determination.
What's something you can't let go of?
Chris Norman once T-boned me in a karting race when I was about 18, just so that I came from the back of the field when I was in first. And he told me, just so I didn't win. Can't let that one go, I'm afraid.
Can't let that one go.
He even says to me, you can't let that go, can you? I bring it up every time. I'm like, no, can't let that one go, sorry.
Guilty pleasure, what is it?
My lawn. It's my new love, Jamie. My lawn and my lawnmower.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that
Once you're a dad, you get a lawn.
The smell of cut grass. Oh man.
You'll get into it. You'll understand it in about 6 years' time.
I can't wait. What turns you off?
Turns me off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness me. There's quite a few things. God, it's supposed to be quick fire. I can't stand noisy eating. Like literally, I have that. You know what it's called when there's like a syndrome or something. Yeah, I can't stand it.
What turns you on?
Steph, my partner.
Great answer. Great answer. Well done. Well done.
I better get laid for that.
There you go. Yeah, well done. What do you like most about yourself?
Oh God, I don't think you could.
Come on. It can be anything. Personality can be anything at all.
I think I'm a good dad. I think I've fallen into something that I actually feel like I'm naturally good at, and I hope that's true. And it will turns out, but I actually feel like I'm quite proud of that.
And bonus one for me: best person you ever done a shoot with?
Model.
Mm-hmm.
It was Chrissy Turlington.
Really?
You've never seen anything like I'm not really starstruck about it, but I couldn't stop staring at her. You understand why supermodels, they are almost superhuman.
Really?
And she was just the loveliest person. And yeah, she was still to this day. And that's although I probably, when it wasn't a shoot, I saw Michelle Pfeiffer in the street in New York once. And that was just, I think I was just there for 5 minutes. And when she was like, we were at the lights and we were crossing the road and she literally looked at me and I just looked at her. I was like, my God, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. And she carried on and I was just still looking. And so I just wandered home and I went, oh my God, it was
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer.
What happened to that Victoria's Secret after party? We'll leave it there. David, thank you so much.
Thank you,
man. That was amazing.